there about men with big feet.
But big hands.
That's all right. Curl up the edges. That was an utter embarrassment.
No. Careful, because it's small. I think it's designed for children, this actually. Dan announced...
I did. I do that.
I need to pluck your eyebrows.
I stride into rooms
Yes.
and I make announcements.
You made an announcement.
Thank you very much. And then you can go play. Sister, very kind of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling.
I'm a pirate.
She's a pirate. Horror.
I would like some mittens.
Not
Make
you.
them for me.
No, you didn't do.
We seem to be sat near palm trees.
Oh. Well, hello there. Look who's here.
Merry Christmas.
Look. Isn't that nice? Oh, it's great, this.
They're saying it looks exactly the same as last year.
Yes. And the problem... Well, I don't think anyone said that because I don't think anyone... Unless someone's just... Oh, which will be probably quite a few people. Because there's been a few recently who've been blitzing all the episodes.
Oh yeah, there has, yeah.
They have indeed. So some people maybe are thinking, oh, I wonder which I'm on. Is it episode 14 or is it episode 39? Because Christmas is all about Christmas traditions, and that's what our tree looks like, and we love it.
Yes.
We've got something new this year, haven't we?
Something
Stuck
new.
within our tree until you took it off, but we're going to put one back on.
What? What is it?
The smelly thing.
Oh yeah, we bought when we went to the garden centre to get. We always buy a bauble each year.
Yes.
And
people watching the advent
oh
calendar.
yeah, you will have seen.
Yes, it's tomorrow's advent calendar.
Is that tomorrow?
Well, it is the day before yesterday's in their world.
Right.
There's a great bit where I see tinsel and go, oh, and go over to it very quickly.
I had to sit down in a darkened room while Dan was tinselling the house.
You have to be very specific with your tinselling, I think. I think that's the error people make.
I would be very specific in that I wouldn't have it.
But no. I think if you're specific with your tinselling, come on. What I did
The
with those
stairs look
banisters.
very nice. He's wrapped tinsel around the stairs and hung baubles off the tinsel.
And
it
the
looks
baubles
very nice.
are coordinated
They
and they are set distances. Perfect.
They are. It looks very nice. But no, we bought like a wreath and we've hung it on the bookcase downstairs, haven't we?
Yeah, we get all sorted out with a new set, and then Christmas lands.
I know.
So you're not going to see that now until January.
You went next to these wreaths. They had these little tubes, and inside the tube were like little sticks. And I thought, what are they? But they're scented, and you hang them off your Christmas tree. They're dark green, so you can't see them when you hang them on the tree. I think the idea is you hang them on trees that aren't real. We don't have a real tree. And it smells like a real tree, and it does smell like a real tree.
It does. It's really great. And I've got to say, this year, we were lucky last year, because last year we were away and there was a real tree there.
There was a real tree there.
And I did love that.
I loved it.
That
It
was so
dropped
nice.
Needles like the absolute
It was
devil.
a very cheap real tree.
Oh gosh, it was like a carpet under, but it wasn't our carpet, so I wasn't stressing.
And I really, really enjoyed that. And I was honestly thinking this year, I need to get a small real tree and put it somewhere. But
the problem
by putting that thing up, that made me...
Oh, well, we'll put another one on there. But the problem with having a real tree in this house is the living room's on the first floor.
Getting it up the stairs would be all right. It would be taking it down. I think if you did it, what you'd have to do is you'd have to chop it up in the room,
probably
throw the branches out the window,
into
catch
the
them down the bottom. But then you have the whole problem of getting rid
of it.
When I was young, it was so great. I was very lucky where I grew up.
Did you just burn it?
No. There was a big wood right near our house, literally around our house. And what we would do at the end of every Christmas is we would drag the tree outside, and we had a Christmas tree graveyard.
Oh gosh.
And we didn't even bury them. What we would do is we would lay them down.
Right.
And then it was so cool because...
I suppose they just decomposed at the time, didn't they?
Yeah. Because we would go out and you could look at the Christmas trees from the past years, which was always great fun. I remember, and I'm sure we will all have, I mean, if you haven't, it's something to behold, when you take a piece of dried fir and you put it on a fire.
It'll go like a torch.
Oh, because that's what we did.
Oh, it must smell lovely on the...
Well, we had an open fire at Christmas, and we used to get bits of fur and throw it on the fire.
Yeah,
it was so great.
Yeah.
We're deep in the midst, as we've already mentioned, of our advent calendar, aren't we?
We are.
And that's possibly been slightly more work than I anticipated.
Tiny bit.
But fun. It's really fun.
Fun, but then, you think, oh yeah, this is a great idea. It won't be a problem. But effectively, we've been making 24 mini videos, so it is, a good amount of work. And we kind of laughed about it, didn't we, at one stage? I'm like, how many more have we got to do? And you're like 14. I'm like, what?
I had to go out and film for the day, didn't I?
You did.
I drove all over Yorkshire.
I know.
It was Friday last week.
Yeah, I just had so much to do, and you were like, well, I'll just go by myself. So you did, and off you went.
So, sadly, my tripod now has battle damage.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because it was quite windy, and so I had to embed the tripod in the ground, and one of the got sucked off.
Oh no.
Oh dear. But it's been super fun, and I hope patrons, I hope you guys have been enjoying it. And it's still not too late if anyone else wants to access. You can access, and I'll send you through invites, and you can see the advent calendar. There's still days to go, actually. We're not even halfway there.
No.
Oh, I think it's time to find out.
Cool.
Because it looks very nice.
Yes.
Kay Jones, what's on your big
I'm just on the last stitch of that round. I'm knitting on a sock. And I've not shown this for a couple of episodes, I think. But can you remember I was knitting scrappy socks with I started it when we went on holiday, and I was just sort of randomly changing yarns, and I haven't picked it up for a while. So the other day I thought, I was near the end of that sock, I'm just going to finish it. So I did, I finished a sock, and here's the first one. Ta-da! Isn't it cute? I think it came out really nice. So I think I was like kind of here when I stopped knitting on it. So I literally finished it, I think, in a night and then a morning. But it's mainly opals. We've got opal, regia, opal. The heel is marathon, I think that one was.
Oh, it's all sweets.
I know. Oh yeah. Opal, regia's not a sweet.
Oh.
And then I'm not sure what this sort of beigey speckly one is. I'm not sure. It does feel like an opal, so it could be, but it was just like a little ball that I had in my, in my scraps.
That looks like a Bounty chocolate.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I finished one. Lovely. I'd knit it on 2.25mm needles, circulars for this one. And I started the second one. So I thought I'd start this one in a festive way. So, oh look, and my nail polish matches that green there, so it always has to match something, doesn't it? So I knit the entire cuff actually this time with this one. It's the opal, I showed it last time. Do you know the Clang, is it Clang Welton? Pop music colourway. It's a new range, the Clang Welton. It's like all musically themed, and this one
does sound like an Irish pop group.
It does actually, doesn't it? And this one just happened to look very Christmassy. So I knit the entire cuff with that, and then this next one is one that lovely Amber sent me, and it's an opal rainforest. I can't remember what number of rainforest it is. But this one is lovely greens and oranges, so again I thought that was kind of maintaining a bit of the Christmas theme. I was hoping that because each sock was totally random, I wouldn't feel like I was knitting the second sock, and I wouldn't get that feeling, because I'm not knitting the same thing again. And it does feel like that. And I know some people in the BB Advent Along are knitting scrappy socks, with their opals each day, or not, if they've not got the opal advent calendar, just with any sort of random minis. So I think it's a really good thing to do, and like I said before, I wove in all the ends on that other one, and it's absolutely fine. I've not got an issue doing that, and it's not like you knit every pair of socks like this, so why do socks have to match?
Yeah.
And
I have a real problem if I don't have the right socks on. So I have black socks, and I tend to go through one side.
Go through? What do you mean?
A hole appears in one side.
Oh, right.
And it's always the same side, and I should analyse which side it is,
right.
And I never really stop to do that. I cannot wear two right socks.
Oh, right, okay.
And the only difference...
That's just you.
But
you're just weird.
Yeah, I know. That is weird. But to be honest...
But could you, if I knit you a pair of socks...
I could absolutely wear...
One was...
I think so long as they were introduced to me as a pair.
Well, yeah, you know, one was from one Regia range and the other one was from an Opal range.
I think I could totally
and they
do
didn't
that.
Match. Would you wear them together?
If you introduced me to a pair of socks that were different colours and made out of different yarns, and you told me that they were a pair, then I think mentally you accept it as a pair.
See, I think I might do a bit of that next year, you know, knitting pairs of socks like that, just mismatching them, because then... I know you're not using the entire ball, but then you can knit that other half a ball, can't you? All I'm thinking is it should just maybe stop the old second sock syndrome thing a little bit, wouldn't it? And I know a lot of people knit their socks concurrently, so, you know, have 2 socks on 2 different needles going, and I have done that in the past. I do it mainly for dance socks, if I'm honest, just because they're so enormously long, you know, to get to the toe. It feels like such a slog, and then you just think, oh gosh, I've got that whole other sock to knit. I just thought, and I think it was Sarah, I was watching an old Love Sock Wool. Sarah was knitting on a sock, and she'd finished one sock, and she said she was just going to mismatch it with another one that she'd finished, because she wanted to use the other half of that ball for something else. And I just suddenly thought, gosh, why don't we do that a bit more? And maybe it is the whole OCD thing that people can't stand having socks that don't match. But personally, I don't think I know it wouldn't bother me. I quite like, because quite often...
How do we know it's an OCD thing internationally? Do we know?
Well, we don't, I suppose.
So let's do a test.
You know, would it bother you if...
Let's do a straw poll.
You know, if say I knit you a pair of socks and I knit them mismatched, so it's 2 different yarns, would that bother you?
Well, I've given my answer. My answer is it would not bother me so long as they were introduced to me as a pair. Yes.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna do a bit of that. So I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, and I've got in here, you know, in my bag, I chose different sort of random minis, and I've got one of these a full skein, look at it, it's a full skein of an Opal mini, so I'm going to put some of that in. It's all blues, and then I've got that's another Opal. That was from your socks. No. I was going to make you socks in that. That's from one of my shawls, the sock knitted shawl. I've got some of these greys and oranges. So yeah, so that's my sock, and I'm really enjoying it. Dan Jones.
Hello.
What's on your lovely needles?
Good evening.
Your lovely festive needles.
I don't think that I would ever use anything other than those.
Knit Pro Symphonies.
They are the best.
And I said to you last night, didn't I, about needles? I've been having
I've tried gardens.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having a little needle experiment just recently, and I've been trying lots of different brands of needles.
You don't like signatures, do you?
No. I've got some. I haven't tried the double points signatures, but I've got 2 sets of circulars. I've got a 2.25 and I think a 4mm, and I'm not a fan, I've got to say.
I do think though it definitely would come down to your personal preference for how you knit.
It is your
Personally,
personal
I
preference.
don't want a slippy needle.
It's not just the slippy needle. It wasn't the slippy needle for me. For starters, I think they were too pointy.
That's a nightmare. I hate too.
And you can get them less pointy. I think they were both the stiletto tip that I got, but they were too pointy, and the cable was the issue for me. I didn't like the cable at all, and I tried soaking it, you know, in warm water and everything. But so I kind of abandoned that. But I think I've come to the conclusion lately that I do prefer wood.
Yeah.
I do think wood is better for me personally, but of course everybody's different.
Yeah, I mean it does. That's the beauty, I think, of any art form.
Yeah, and the good thing
comes
is,
down
yeah, and
to,
we have so much choice available to us
which
now,
is brilliant,
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, that we've got all this choice. Yeah.
I think a great starting point though for a new knitter would definitely be.
I would say wood, because.
And specifically.
Yeah.
These.
Yeah,
these.
As wooden needles go, I think the Knit Pro Symphonies are probably the best out.
So what is on said Knit Pro Symphonies? It should be law that everyone knits with this yarn.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yes.
Again, lovely.
It feels lovely to work with, and it looks great, and it feels like they're going to be hard wearing.
They will.
And just the whole experience is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And what's interesting for me is
knitting up lovely.
I have historically never knit on anything so small.
No, it's like a sport weight, that one, I believe. Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll be thinking, that's terrible. How can you have gone so long with not knitting anything less than
I don't
what
think
size?
DK.
I think it's as you get better at something, isn't it? And
Yeah,
I'm certainly
and
not saying I'm getting better at something,
it's just
but
what you enjoy as well. I just don't think you would
I wouldn't have been able to
enjoy-
handle this 4 months ago, I don't think.
But I gave you, I think it's on a 4mm needle or 3.75, I can't remember which. Just because you're so tight. And that's the good thing, you know, you can knit with a sport weight because his knit's so tight you can still use the needle size that you're kind of used to using.
Yeah. The pattern on this is really nice.
Yeah.
It looks so lovely.
Yeah.
And it's thin too, which I like.
Yeah.
So, you know, that'll fit in
A shoe. Yeah.
and
yeah.
lots
yeah.
of shoes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just, if you haven't tried this opal yarn, then
It's...
do go do it,
Should we
because
show the ball?
it's not expensive, is it?
No, I don't think so. This one's a little bit more because it's a heavier skein. It's 150 grams, this one. I think it's £11.99 sterling. But it's the Opal Daydream 6-ply. It's got a lovely kitty cat on the front. And this colourway is 8353. It's like blues and golds. And it does really remind me of one of my favourite pairs of socks I've ever knit you, which was the Opal Van Gogh. Was it Starry Night or... You know which one I mean, the one that's all blues and gold. Really lovely.
I have been doing little bits of this, but I've been focused on something else, which you'll see later. And I'm very glad to now be able to really get cracking back on these, because I do love sitting down and doing the whole heel turn thing.
Yeah, you see that funny? It's my favourite bit as well.
It's great fun. I think it's great fun to challenge yourself, and what I find so beneficial is those tutorials that we did a little while ago now. And I need to try some DPN socks.
You do?
I'll do that next. So as soon as I finish these, I will cast on some socks and DPNs, because I know so many people have said that it's easier, and also that specifically
like
on the heel turn.
You like DPNs
I really like
when
DPNs.
you're doing the top of a hat, don't you? So,
Yeah. Have you got something else?
well, I have.
Is
and
there anything else to show?
I'm very glad.
Or is this a very short show?
No, I had a bit of a thing last time, didn't I?
Yeah.
But I just felt like I didn't have much knitting to show you last time, and I was kind of upset after the podcast that I just felt like I'd let myself down a little bit. I know you're all saying don't be silly.
Well, look,
But
we
that's
had
just-
words. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we did. That's just how.
No, everyone's thinking now that I sat you down and said
Oh no.
that was an utter embarrassment.
No.
How?
It wasn't like that at all. No. But this time, I'm happy. I'm happy. So I'm just grabbing a random bag. Do you like my project bag? Isn't it sophisticated? Isn't that
This was
lovely?
made for you. It was made for you specially.
by Rista. Girl Cave bags. Yeah.
That's-
No, she
a bit
did.
hard.
No, she gave
Oh,
it
okay.
me. Susan knows what I meant. She gave me the bag.
That's so funny.
Behave.
Sorry.
I've started crocheting another blanket, and before you start saying, "Oh, what you doing? Another blanket?" It's just a little mini one. I'm going to be doing a series of tutorials for the Patron group on the look, and I use this all the time, snuggled on the sofa. Look. So this is the one that I did last year, if you all remember, I'm sure you will. And I thought, oh, should we do a tutorial on it? So in preparation for that tutorial, I've knit some if I say knit, you know I mean crochet. I've crocheted some squares, and this is what caused my hand pain, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure. So I had to stop for a little while. But what I'm going to do is I'm just doing 20 squares, and I'm going to do a 4x5 little blanket for Bryony's toys. And I've looked at the size of my other one, and I think 20 squares will be a nice size for a little bear blanket. So I started crocheting the little squares, and I went through all my minis, and I just chose kind of the prettiest ones that I could find that I thought Bryony would like. I knew there were some colours that she loved. So I think I've done 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. And I did these pretty much all together, and I think you know what the action is for crochet, and it, you know, I got pain. The same day I got pain in my right hand, so I've had to stop for a little bit. But
it's a tricky action.
It's twisting, and it's just a different, because when I'm knitting, I sort of analysed it afterwards, and when I'm knitting I don't really move the fingers in my right hand very much, but obviously when you are crocheting you're constantly doing this. I will be doing the tutorial, it's just taking me a little bit longer just because of the...
So it'll be coming out later this year,
yeah,
and then running into next year.
Yeah. So these are the squares I've done so far.
How nuts does that sound?
I know, next year, yeah. So we've got this one, which is No Makers. This is Pumpkin Spice Latte. I love that one. This one might not be going in at the moment. This is No Makers Butterbeer, but it just came out so small. And it's a skinny yarn, I think, No Makers. Or some, not all of the bases. You know, the Tweedy yarn that I used for the Pumpkin Spice Latte was fine, but this one is very skinny. And it came out quite a bit smaller. I don't know if you can see. You can see like it sits inside the other one. So that one might not be going in. This one's Dancing Dog Dyeworks. Beautiful. Beautiful orange. This one's Brian's favourite colour. It'll probably blow out a bit. It's not quite as neon as that. It's totally neon. And this one is Juliana's Fibre. This is the lovely fondant fibre, pink tulle, the vintage tulle. Tulle. Oh, I struggle with that word, don't I? Another Dancing Dog Dyeworks. And then that's a Regia. And then the last one is another Dancing Dog Dyeworks. Look at the colour of that, Dancing Dog Dyeworks. Rainbow Blooming Neonlicious, that one.
Is that the colourway name?
No, I don't know what the colourway names are actually, because she said she forgot to label them.
I would like next year, because I shall buy a skein, I would like someone to do a colourway called
Rainbow Blooming Neonlicious.
Yes. I think that sounds great.
So I've got 9 made there. I'm using a 2.75mm hook, which is what I used, you know, for my... It's exactly the same as my other one. And I'm using it's a Clover. I like these ones with the rubbery grip because, again, I think they're better for your hand than just a skinny wooden one, and I would never use a metal, you know, as just a plain metal one. So I've got the rest of my colours in there, and you could tell I thought, oh, I'll have this done in a day. I mean, really. So that's why I didn't even give it an official project bag. I just put it into one of my lovely IKEA bags. So I will finish that, and what I'm going to do on the tutorial is I'll demonstrate how to make a granny square, but I'll use some worsted weight for that because it's obviously easier to show you, and then I'll show you the join as you go method that I use.
What's on my needles, I hear you cry? Well,
I was crying that.
Yes. It's some more lovely fondant fibre yarn. It's the Vellum Hadriani.
Yay!
Makes me think of Hadrian's Wall every time I pick it up. The colours are just beautiful. It's going to be very, very nice, this on you. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Is it mine?
Yes, of course.
I don't think I realised that.
Yeah. So this is by the very famous designer Stephen Weft. It's The Wind Swept by Stephen Weft. And, oh yeah, did you notice, as I'm speaking like Clark Griswold, did you notice my Christmas t-shirt?
I did.
Yeah, I was asking them.
Oh, sorry.
This came out when we put the decorations up. Yeah, I love this t-shirt, and it's funny because pre me being ill, this didn't fit.
Was it too small?
Yes.
What size is it?
Well, it's extra large.
Gosh.
Oh, now simmer down.
It's the height. Things are normally short on you.
The length was impossible. Now, I haven't shrunk, but I am a lot slimmer than I was. So maybe the fact that it's now sucking downwards more, that's what is now making it wearable.
That will be.
That's my project. I'm now going to be hitting this much harder now, given the fact that I'm going to have more knitting time. And it's a good knit so far. I need to decrease some, which I'm going to do very soon, because I think I probably need about that much more.
You need a bit more rib,
Yeah, which is fine. Because I like knitting rib, especially when it's twisted.
I like a deeper rib on a hat, I think.
You should fold over. You probably need more hats which have the ability to fold over.
Fold over.
Because that always looks cute.
Does it really?
Of course it does.
I've never done that.
Why not?
Folded the
Loads of
brim.
people do that.
I know do, but I've just realised I've never folded my brim over on a hat.
But that might be because you've not had hats with a long enough brim. So maybe I should go along with this brim.
Maybe.
And so you do have the capabilities to fold, should you choose. Are you ready for something else? You clearly are.
Yes.
This is unbelievable today.
Endero.
Look at that. Look at that. What else is on your needles?
I'm knitting my December block on my stitching time blanket. Oh, how nice. And I finished another one since the last podcast. I finished the October square. That's the one I was working on, I think, wasn't it? It was. I'm very fine to myself. I finished the October one, which I love. I think this is one of my favourites. Look at the October one. It's all Halloweeny. Don't you think? I think it came out really nice, that one. There's a lot of no makers in there because they do such fabulous Halloween colours. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 no makers in there. There's a couple of Leading Men Fibre Arts, a couple of another Crafty Girl. So yeah, so that's my October one, which I love. How many have I done? Is this my 4th that I'm on, or my 5th? I don't know. Let me have a look. 1, 2, I think it's my... Oh, it's my 5th. I thought it was my 4th. Hey, that's good. I've done January, April, November and October, and I'm now doing December. I haven't worked on this for a few days, only because I've been doing the Advent Along blanket, which I'll show you next. But I'm this far in. I'm on my 4th little square. It's very festive. I've no idea what this one is. It came from Erica. I'm sure that was one of the ones that you sent, Erica. I just thought it looked super festive. This one I think is a Crazy Zauber ball. This one is a Knitting Goddess. And then the one I'm putting in now is Buddy the Elf. I think that was another Crafty Girl. I knit socks in it. I'm working away on my December block and I've got all my colours in. I've been just putting them in a little organza.
Sorry.
A little organza bag. So I love this. It's a little opal mini ball, but I thought that was so festive, look. So that one will be going in. I've got a beautiful red, I think that's 5 moons, sparkly red. Oh gosh, I don't, where did this might be another one from Erica, I think, I'm not sure. I thought that one looks super festive. And then I've got a lovely green. I'm not even sure what that one is actually. I think that one came from Amber, but the little tags come off. Yeah, I just went through all my minis and chose all the ones that looked as Christmassy as possible. And I'm working away on that, and I'm using, it's exactly the same. I'm using a higher stitch count for my, on this one as opposed to my main sock yarn blanket. Same size needles, 2.5mm, because I like the sort of denseness that gives. So yeah, so as soon as, I think I want to get the December one done, finished in December. And then once we get past 12th night, because I've got some minis that are going into my sock blanket that finished on 12th night, then I think I'll be getting on more with this blanket at that stage. So that's that.
Finished.
Yes, that's
wonderful.
That one.
It's my turn again. I'm sorry you've seen this lots, but I will finish it one day. And it's sort of funny, to be honest, because it was exactly the same. If you look back through the history of our podcast, you will always find mammoth projects which go on forever. the twin skein cowl, for example. So what is it that I'm talking about? It is, of course, and can I just say, actually, before, I mean, I know I'll say this again in a minute, but I might even forget to say it, and I think it's very important I remember, and that is, I owe an enormous debt of gratitude to Erica Luda and Dreams in Fibre, because without you, I would now be clinically insane.
Oh, why? Oh, the yarn for
Yes.
the Ricky hat.
If I hadn't been knitting with
It
such
was
exceptional yarn,
It was beautiful
Then
yarn, Erica. Really, really beautiful.
I would have thrown the towel in.
Yeah, and I loved the colour, and I really wanted to keep it just because I love that colour so much.
Here is the handbrake scarf, and I won't bore you with it for too long.
Yeah. Yay!
But yeah, it is just such a lovely thing to knit. I love
So
about
nice.
this, and I think what this demonstrates to me is
Pretty long now.
what you want something when you're knitting a long-term project, something that you can pick up easily and get on with. And you also want something which doesn't destroy your soul because the rows are so long.
No, that's true.
And Does that? Yeah, no, at no point have I ever picked this up and thought, oh no, it's still going on. I pick it up and I think, great, here we go. You know, there's enough challenge mentally for you to be entertained by it, but not so much of a challenge. Do you know what it is? I don't like monotony.
I don't think anybody does, really.
No.
There's a difference, isn't there, between something that's relaxing, like a sock. If you're just going round and round and round, and some people might find that monotonous. But I never do.
But it moves so fast, though.
Yeah,
a
that's
sock
true.
moves so fast, I don't know how you could find that monotonous. Whereas the honey cow is most certainly monotonous.
Yeah.
But if you were sat in a cinema and you needed something just to, if you were that type of knitter, and I know there's thousands, millions of that type of knitter.
Yeah, and I'm going to try
then I
it.
get that.
I'm kind of doubting I'm going to be able to do it though, because when I was putting Bryony to bed last night, we were listening to an audiobook that I recorded. I've recorded an audiobook for Bryony.
Now, you can't buy this in the shops.
No, you really can't. There's a story as to why I did it, and we were sat there, and I was knitting a blanket square, and it happened to be black. It's a black tonal yarn that I was knitting in, and I was using my wooden needles. Well, you can imagine I was like this. Because there is a bit of light, but it's out in the hallway. You obviously don't have a main light on. And I was like, oh gosh, I can't do this. So I don't know how, because I don't knit without looking. I can do a few stitches without looking, but I wouldn't feel confident knitting round and round and round on a sock. I'd be worried I'd dropped a stitch.
That's me done. What else is on your needles?
A lovely giraffe.
Ooh!
And again, this was something I was stressing over.
Classic, this. Classic. Hold it up, let them see. I said, did you dye that yarn?
Yeah, I know. I mean, look. Michelle, he said, did you dye that yarn? I just laughed at him. Literally, I went, are you absolutely off your trolley? You think I dyed this? It's Dancing Dog Dye Works, of course. And I've only got, where's my arm? I've just got one more little arm to do. Oh, look at her. Hello. Oh, I've got a tail to do as well. I've not done a tail. So I'm pleased with how she's coming out. And I love her. Can you see her feet are fluffy? Can you see her? Look. I love that. Her feet are fluffy, and her horns are fluffy, and her nose is, and the end of her arms are, because I'm putting in the Kid Silk Haze, as I said last time. I'm doubling it with some Drops Fable in just cream. So I've got a fingering weight and then the Kid Silk Haze. It is a bit thinner still than a worsted, but it seems to be working, so that's what I'm doing. So I've just got one more arm to do, and then obviously the dress. Now, I went through my entire stash the other day looking for an Elsa coloured yarn, and it's quite a specific colour. Do you know when you look at a dress? Because you just think, oh, it's blue, I'll have some of that. But it's actually like it's a light turquoise. I can't say that word. You say it for me.
Turquoise.
I liked that colour. And I looked at all my yarns, and I'd got Elsa up on my screen, and I was like comparing all my yarns to it, and I just didn't have, all my blues were kind of more sky blues. So I've ordered a couple of skeins which should come today. What I'm going to do for a dress is, I think I'll do one that just comes kind of straight across. So there's like a little sort of bodice, and I might do that bit in garter stitch. And then I'll increase a bit probably for the skirt. And then I'll just knit a couple of straps. I think that will probably work best with just the way that the arms are, because the straps can go over here. And then there'll just be a little like bib top, if you like, and then the dress coming down. So that's obviously got to be done for Christmas, but I'm confident I'll be okay with that now. I've only got one more arm to do and the dress. So all will be well.
Oh, what else are you knitting?
Oh, now.
Now, I'm liking that. Now,
Yes.
I'm even liking the ladder.
Well, I'm not.
Because it looks like a design.
Dan announced...
I did. I do that.
Did.
I stride into rooms
Yes.
and I make announcements.
He made an announcement that he would like some mittens.
I love that. I would like some mittens.
But
Make them for me.
No, you didn't do that. You just said, oh, I think Bryony had hers on or something. And you just suddenly went, oh, I'd quite like some mittens for
I would.
just for when we're out walking in the winter, you know. And I was like, oh, would you?
They're also excellent for snowballs.
I was so excited. The pattern I'm using is Susan B. Anderson because she recently added 2 larger sizes. Oh, very excited. Thank you, Susan, for doing that. She added, do you know her Waiting for Winter? Added an extra large and an extra large to the sizes. And I'm knitting the extra large for Dan. And the yarn I'm using, the lovely Erica, when I ordered my Advent mini skein from Erica, that came after the last podcast. But she put in, you know, a big bunch of other things as well for Christmas for us. Oh, it's just fantastic. And certainly as I knit with them, I will show you and I'll let you know. But I decided to use, she sent me a couple of skeins of her Au Naturel. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good with accents. And it's basically
Did
natural.
you just do an accent?
Well, it's French, that, isn't it?
So that was your French?
Here is my attempt at French. Clearly it wasn't.
Right, okay.
She sent me a couple of skeins of natural yarn, you know, undyed, and they were processed very close by to where she lives. So I was super excited with that stuff. I said, oh, I'm absolutely going to use one of these for your mittens. And this one is dark grey, it's 200 yards, it's a heavy worsted, and there's wool, llama and alpaca. So I thought that's going to be super warm as well, isn't it, for mittens? So that's a lovely, and the Au Naturel, I can't say the words, labels are this kind of black and white look. I think they look really lovely. It's grey, but it's very tonal. I hope that's showing up. And I think it's because, you know, the mix of yarns, it's just the different tones in the wools, the mix of wools. And it's obviously undyed. And what I'm loving is I keep getting, you know, there's not a lot of it, but every now and again I get a little piece of straw. I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
It just feels so,
Rustic.
yeah, it's rustic, but it's not really rough or anything. It's really not.
No.
And I've finished a mitten. Do you want to pop it on?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice. I think
It's nice to have anything that fits me, you know, because I do have very, very large hands.
And I kept trying it on, didn't I?
What I like
and
about
I made
this,
sure the thumb was long enough and the hand was long enough.
what I like about this is if I was wearing a shirt, which I tend to wear a gilet. Or a body warmer, and a shirt, and then I would pull that over the sleeve of the shirt. But if I was wearing my jacket, then I would fold this down like that, because my jacket has a cuff which goes down quite low, so it works for both. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I was following the pattern exactly, using DPNs for it, and I did right up until kind of here. But then I noticed I was getting a ladder. And I don't know why, because normally I don't. And I think what it was, because I know Susan always knits her socks using 4 DPNs, so you're working in a triangle effectively, and it's the same with this. So you've got your stitches on 3 DPNs and then you're using the 4th one. And I think I just get less of a ladder when I'm working with one more needle, so I've got fewer stitches on each one. And I think it just, it makes that join not quite so stretched, I think. I don't quite know how to describe it, but I think you know what I mean. But when I saw that ladder, I thought, oh, I'm not having that. So I changed onto Magic Loop. And I had, I was using lovely, you know, Knit Pro Symphonies. So I changed it onto Magic Loop, and I've got the Knit Pros, but it's my interchangeable set, and it's the, what are they called, those ones with the you know, the pale coloured wood. Sunstruck, is it Sunstruck? I think it is, isn't it? Interchangeables, but I hoped, because they're both Knit Pro, that I wouldn't have any differences with the size, and I can't see any difference, you know, where I've changed over. So I'm going to use Magic Loop for the second one. So yeah, and I've just got to cast that on. It didn't really take me long at all.
Cool.
I followed the pattern exactly, apart from I didn't knit as much here before starting the thumb gusset. I kind of like the thumb to come directly out of the rib. So I knit a slightly longer rib and only, I think, a couple of rounds before I started the thumb gusset. And then the other thing that I did differently, and I tend to do this with all of my mittens, is just to avoid a gap here. I think you're meant to pick up 1 stitch. I picked up 3. So I picked up 2 stitches either side of the one in the middle. and then I just decrease those stitches back down on the first round afterwards, and that, you know, really stops me getting a hole then. But it's never a problem to get a hole because you can just sew it up anyway, it's never an issue. So I'm going to cast on the second one, and I want to get those done for Christmas to wrap up for you.
Cool.
Okay, so the last thing I've got currently on the needles is my sock yarn blanket. Sock yarn, can't speak. And this is what a lot of us are knitting on with our advent along, you know, our mini skeins, particularly the opal one, but I've also got the Dreams in Fibre, as I've said, mini skein bag, and I've done what I'm tending to do.
Who does not enjoy knitting on a blanket?
I don't know anybody who doesn't enjoy it.
No.
No.
They're just...
You
they're
could
such,
totally do a blanket.
Yeah, they're such epic things. And there's so much skill that goes into... You know, some of the ones that I see on Instagram, the skill involved is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they're just wonderful things to see as well, because I think
Yeah.
they show off so many different types
They do.
of yarn.
Yeah, and they're just fun, and
I don't think anyone should be ashamed about getting a blanket and getting knitting on one.
Well, no, absolutely not. I think
You should be proud to knit on your
You
blanket.
should be proud to knit on your blankets, as I think we all are.
Good.
But what I'm doing, because I've got 2 mini skein advent packs, I suppose you would call them, I'm knitting 2 squares a day into my blanket, and I'm managing to maintain that. I've just got one of today's that I didn't knit in this morning, trying to get them done in the morning. And sometimes that means that when Bryony is in school, a couple of mornings, I've just sat down with a cup of tea and I've knit my 2 squares. And I felt incredibly guilty for doing that, because generally I don't knit during the day. So I'm knitting 2 squares a day into my blanket, and I've got 2 rows going. So, can you see this row here where my finger is? This one, this is my opal row. And because I had 24 minis, my row is 25 long, I decided to start it off with that same skein that I showed you earlier that I started my socks with, the Opal Clang Welton, Christmassy one. So that was not from my minis, but I thought it matched. So this is the start of my opal row. So we've got one, that was day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where we're up to today. And I thought these 3 here between my fingers, can you see? Very similar, don't you think? I mean, that's 3 different skeins. And it just so happened that, when they came out of the box, I thought, gosh, they're so similar, those 3, aren't they? And they've ended up together, but, it is what it is. And then this one is my Dreams in Fibre. And I've just got one more. The black one was yesterday. And it is actually tonal, that black. It's not really showing up, but it is tonal. And then I've got today's to knit in, which was called Iceberg. Can you see these beautiful blues? Really pretty, so I've got that one to put in. I'll do that one tonight. So I'm loving it, and I love Erica, that red. Oh my goodness. When I was knitting it in, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. I've actually got a skein of your yarn, Erica, that you sent me last year that's in a tonal red like that. So I'm going to go and dig it out and see if it's the same. It's beautiful. So I'm loving it. And the colourway names, some of them are really lovely. That one is called All Aboard. I think it's like the steam, on a steam train. This one is I'm Dreaming of a, obviously, White Christmas. But I can't wait for the 13th. 13th is called Unicorn Fart.
Oh dear. I'm slightly offended.
I said fart. So I'm very excited for the 13th. So I'm loving it. It's such a lovely thing to do, and it's kind of forced me in a way to have that that 40 minutes or whatever at the beginning of the day just to sit and do it.
Yeah.
And like yesterday I didn't get to it till the evening. If you're joining in, it doesn't have to be a blanket. Some people are knitting scarves, some people are knitting socks, some people are knitting little mini ornaments, whatever you want to do. If you're joining in, you can hashtag it on Instagram, and it's bbadventalong, all one word. Super fun, and there's a Ravelry thread as well if you wanted to pop in there if you're not on Instagram.
It's time for me to ask someone
Yay.
a very special, because this is our last episode of 2015.
Do we need to just say that there won't be one Christmas week?
This is I don't know how else to say it. This is...
I don't know how else to say it. It just is.
This is our last episode of I've already said this.
It. Because, we'll tell you why, because if we follow our normal schedule, we would be due to put a podcast out on Christmas Day, which, you know, as much as we love doing this, we kind of think we should really have a couple of days off.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing it the week after instead, won't we?
Yes, which is cool because that means we do a New Year's Day podcast, which rocks. So
which
it's
is
going
fine
to be
by us. We're happy to do that.
It's going to be an end of year review, and like people do at that time of year, and it's going to be cool. And the second part of.
But the patrons will have a podcast next week.
Correct. So next week, patrons, you have a very special Christmas episode, which is coming out on the 18th of December. These are our special what's on and what's off your needles. So who is it going to be? Well, this is somebody who I just was completely... It sent the loveliest message, and I read a little bit of her story, and I just think she sounds like the best mum in the history of the world. Aww. And I know that her kids, when they grow up, and I know, you know, that they are growing up now, she's got some older ones and some younger ones, I know that they're just going to remember their time with her, and they're just going to be much like my mum, I think, you know, just an amazing mum. She, if you want to find out how amazing she is, she lives in Georgetown, Canada.
Right.
She has 5 amazing children. But when her children are at school, she runs a home day centre at her home.
You told me amazing.
She's Mrs. Claus. And I have more evidence that she's Mrs. Claus. She loves quilting and knitting.
Wow. Oh, I want to make a quilt.
And her name is Mummy to 5.
Oh.
What's on your needles? And that's Heather in Georgetown. I hope you and your amazing family have the best Christmas ever. I'm sure you will. I think it's time for us to go on our final favourite places to knit of 2015. I can't believe it's our final favourite place to knit 2015. What's been wonderful about doing the Advent calendar is I've revisited some of our favourite places to knit of 2015, and I went to our first visit. I think we should go on a very special favourite places to knit. It's focused at a lovely place called Kipling Hall.
Oh, it's lovely.
And we are going to talk about the history of Kipling Hall, and you're going to see lots of Kipling Hall, but we're also going to focus the episode very much around the traditions of Christmas. Mm-hmm. So let's go and enjoy our very special favourite place to knit. Welcome to Favourite Places to Knit.
Yay!
It's our last one of 2015.
It
Would you
is.
believe it?
Yeah.
And I wonder which was our first one of 2015.
Oh,
Was it the Roman adventure
asking the
walking
wrong
down
person.
towards Piercebridge?
it might be actually. Yeah, it's cold. I know that. So.
And we might just be revisiting there on our advent calendar.
Oh,
Say
really?
nothing, act casual.
All right.
We are here at Kipling Hall.
We are. Can you see it in the background?
It's a perfectly livable, stately home.
Oh, it's so nice in there.
It is in fact it's a Jacobean. I find that word
Is it
hard to say.
Jacobean?
Yes.
Right. Right.
It was built in 1622
Yeah.
for George Calvert.
That's right, I just read about him.
Yes, he was the Secretary of State for James I.
Gosh.
James I was a very interesting man because James I came back on to the English throne. He, of course, was Scottish. He was it James IV of Scotland? Is it V1? Is that fourth or fifth?
That's 6, the VI is
Okay,
6.
maybe he was James VI of Scotland.
Right.
I'm not very good on my Scottish kings and queens. It's very naughty, but he was James I of England, and he was a Catholic. And they got very excited when he came back onto the throne because we had just had many, many years of Elizabeth I.
Right.
And she, of course, was not a Catholic. James I came onto the throne. Everyone got very excited, thought everything was going to be just rosy for Catholics. And it wasn't, because the gunpowder plot happened.
No.
But we are at Kipling Hall, just over there, which we'll show you in a minute, is a beautiful lake.
Huge,
and that actually,
huge lake.
well, that was quarrying. Because in latter years, they sold off loads and loads of their land. I think it was in the Calvert's family for about 100 years, and then it went to the Crows, and the Crows over time just sold off more and more bits of it, and they used to quarry gravel here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there was a great big pit there, and they filled it with water and turned it into a lake.
Oh, it's absolutely enormous, and particularly enormous at the minute because I've had loads of floods.
Yeah.
Having kind of issues with this needle, I've got to say.
What's the needle?
Well, I've just cast on a sock just before I came out, and I'm using 2.25 carbons magic loop, and I love the actual needle itself, and I love the cord and the way that it acts when you're knitting magic loop, but I'm just having struggles getting it over the join. There's quite a, if you feel that.
I felt those before.
It's got a real
That type, I know
look,
what you mean.
It's not smooth at all, and I'm just having, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue with this needle. I don't know, which is a shame.
But excitement, within the house we found 2 knitters,
We did.
and one person was even knitting.
She was.
Yes.
And when she saw us coming, she quickly put her knitting away, thinking, and we were like, no,
Get
carry
it out.
on.
But it's a really interesting house, and it's got a very interesting story and a massive link to America.
House.
So yeah, we should go off now and let's take a tour.
In the late 1500s, the Calvert family moved from Belgium to Richmondshire in Yorkshire. Leonard was at their head, and their first child to be born at Kipling was George. Now, at that time, Kipling Hall didn't exist. It was when George grew up that he decided he wanted to build himself a hunting lodge within their grounds around Kipling, and this was the house that he built. Now, Kipling was different to other houses built at that time. And that was because of the way that it was built. Now, normally, stately homes at that time, well, of course, it's not a stately home, it's a hunting lodge, and that perhaps is the reason why architecturally it's a little bit different. But houses at that time normally had 4 towers at each of the 4 corners of the actual building. That was not the case at Kipling. If you see there, the 4 towers actually occur at the 4 corners of the main hall within the house. And at the top of the towers, there was, and I need to get this word right, it is an OG dome. It's used a lot in mathematics, OG curves. I think it's a 2-arced curve in opposite senses. So architecturally, it was very, very much cutting edge. And this became the hunting lodge for the Calverts.
George Calvert was given a peerage in Ireland, and his home became Baltimore Manor. Now, that maybe will give you a little bit of a clue on the greatness which George is going to succeed to during his life. Now, he never used Kipling, whilst he was born in this area, he never used Kipling as his home. It was built as a hunting lodge. His seat was actually in Ireland, and so he spent the majority of his time there. They would come here and they would go hunting in the grounds, but it was never used as a home. Now, George, he was Secretary of State to James I, and he lived at a time when Catholics were still persecuted. So what he did was he got very interested in the colonisation of the Americas, and initially he focused his attention on a place called Avalon, which is in Newfoundland, which is Canada. But it was so cold there that the colony he set up, the colony was persecuted Catholics. The colony actually wanted to move somewhere else, so they did. They moved to the state of Maryland, and Lord Baltimore became the governor of Maryland. So let's go take a bit more of a look around his hunting lodge.
The real beauty of Kipling Hall is how livable it feels. The rooms are so much smaller than any other stately home that we've been to, really, apart from Raby. This is the great hall that you enter into as you arrive. You then go off to the left into the drawing room. Now, the drawing room historically is where the family displayed their finest furniture, and that's how it is today. That leads you through into another ante-room that has just beautiful pictures and hangings on the wall from later families, and then into probably our favourite room, which is it's the library. It's got a piano in it and an absolutely gorgeous Christmas tree next to the library case there, which has got a great ladder you can climb up to get the books off the top shelf. Here I did a little bit of surreptitious filming, and as you can see there, the displays, the Christmas displays they put up were just stunning. Here is a picture from the very early 1900s of that same room. Now here is the dining room, and there's a distinct feeling of Downton here, but it's still not too small that you couldn't manage it yourself. And just sitting at that table, it would just be wonderful, perfect at Christmas. And they'd actually set it out for a meal for characters from the Pickwick Papers, which was just great. We're now on the first floor, and when you look out of the windows, you get to see there some of the feeling of how the great approach to the house would have been when the later users of the house had changed it from a hunting lodge and actually turned it into a family home. The bedrooms are utterly stunning. Look at these four-poster beds and really sumptuous furnishings. And again, I think one of the things that Kay and I picked up on is how everything does feel slightly lived in, rather than places like Chatsworth where everything can seem very perfect. Apart from this room, it served in the war. It was turned into flats, and there was also soldiers garrisoned there. And what they'd done actually in this wartime kitchen is they'd set out the Cratchit's Christmas, because on the day that we visited it was a Dickensian Christmas. So they were telling all of the stories of Dickens in the different rooms around the house. So there's Tiny Tim.
By 1722, the Calverts were seriously running out of money, and they needed to raise some cash. So George Calvert's great-great-grandson, or it might even be even a further grandson than that, great-great-great-grandson, in 1722 he sold the house to the Crowe family, and they actually set about turning what we see now into a home. So they put in the fireplace, they put in the grand staircase, and they actually started to live here. Now I wonder what Christmases were like here for the Crowes once the house was properly set up. And the house was properly set up when we get into the 1800s. So how did we celebrate Christmas then? Let's find out.
At the beginning of the 1800s, Christmas was not celebrated in the way we do today. It was at the heyday of Kipling, through the 1800s, that Christmas began to take hold and grow. It was a number of writers that led to the development of Christmas. Perhaps the writer most synonymous is Charles Dickens with A Christmas Carol. Now, he originally wrote this not expecting it to be as successful as it was. He was visiting Manchester and he was talking to working people. And the stories that he tells in Christmas Carol supposedly are very much the stories that he picked up within his trips around Manchester. He wrote the book very, very quickly. He visited there in October. It came out in December 1843, and it's never been out of print since. So Christmas developed really thanks to the writers of that era, and there were others as well who did similar. The very first person to print the name Santa Claus was actually a newspaper printer in New York, and this happened round about 1821. So it was even earlier than Dickens wrote his book. So Dickens was very much picking up on traditions that had already begun, and let's go and explore some of those now.
What was Christmas like in the 1800s?
Well, Christmas in the early 1800s was completely different to Christmas now. And the reason being is Santa wasn't even discovered until about 1821. Can you believe that? Someone must have been in the North Pole and discovered him there and then he started delivering presents. I'll tell you who it was actually. It was the Dutch. It was the Dutch who they celebrated the Eve of St. Nicholas, and the Eve of St. Nicholas was on the 5th of December. And on that evening, and there'll be people out there who know way more about this than me, but they called him Sinterklaas, and they would exchange presents on the Eve of St. Nicholas, which, as I say, was the 5th of December. But it was, the night before Christmas that I read at Christmas time, and it's on National Lampoons as well. It's really funny. Well, it was the guy who wrote that. It was Clement Moore. He wrote that in 1923, and he expanded on. Well, he found out more about Santa. So he found out that Santa had 8 reindeers, and he found out their names, and he just basically told the story that we know of Santa. So it was 1823 when things first started. What about Christmas trees, though? When do you think Christmas trees first came about? A long time ago?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it was a long time ago to you. To me, it doesn't really seem that long, but the first Christmas tree, well, the very first Christmas tree was Prince Albert. It was Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert. He brought Christmas trees over from Germany. And the first Christmas tree, I think, was in 1841. And it wasn't until about 1843 that they had them here. The first Christmas tree in America, the first Christmas tree in the White House, was it Benjamin Harrison? President Benjamin Harrison, he was the first though, and that wasn't until the late 1800s. Now, before we finish, there's one thing that I just want to read you. You know, Bryony, how we were talking the other day about how some people were saying that Santa wasn't real? Well, that has been happening for a long, long time, and there was a really famous newspaper editorial printed. A little girl called Virginia was really worried because her friends at school said Santa wasn't real. So she wrote to her paper, and the paper was, I wrote it down here, it was the New York Sun. And that was a really big newspaper. It's like the Daily Telegraph or the Guardian or one of the really big papers in this country. And the editor of that paper printed this response to her. And he said, she was called Virginia. He said, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. And you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would be the world if there was no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias." Because that was her name. How nice is that? And that's become one of the most famous newspaper editorials of all time. So Santa is real, as I told you the other day, isn't he? I hope you had a nice time in our lovely festive visit to Kipling Hall. It's been really, really nice, and I tell you why, because every room has been set out in A Christmas Carol or the Pickwick Papers. Yeah. We've obviously been talking a lot about Charles Dickens on our little tour, and talking about A Christmas Carol, and so to actually go around the house and to have, like, there was the Cratchits in one of the old servants' kitchens, which we'll have shown you already, and all sorts of just lovely little things. Pickwick Papers, the table was set out for one of his dinners.
The names are just brilliant, aren't they? Mr. Clubber, was it Mr.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Mrs. Clubber?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I love the names that Dickens gives all his characters.
Oh, it's clever.
Very fun.
Clever chap. So, yeah, I think we have time for an impromptu. Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
I'm just on the last 2 stitches. And, yeah, I just had a sudden urge to cast on a new sock for me just before I came out. And for a while I've wanted to knit a sock using Crazy's Alba ball. I had a couple of balls in my stash, and I've had this one for absolutely ages. The colourway is Volca 8. It's the one that's all lovely pinks and purples and whites. And I've split this into 2 balls because I was going to knit them, concurrently. And I just literally cast it on before I came out, and I've done about 3 rows. So that's all you've got to see. I don't know if I'm holding that in the right place. Hopefully I am. And like I said, I've not used these particular pair of carbons before. They were brand new ones that I bought a while ago, and I never used them for some reason.
Oh, I don't like carbons.
Well, I do quite like carbons, but this one, the join here is a very there's a big, it's not smooth at all, and my stitches are just catching every single time, when you push them around. So I might have to change to a different needle, which will be a shame because I am liking the cord on this.
What am I knitting? Well, it's a very exciting episode because if all goes to plan, do you think all will go to plan?
Yes.
Okay, he's feeling confident. It's the Ricky hat, and hopefully you will be seeing this in the What's Off Your Needles, and savour it.
I think you will have finished
Take it all in because it's the one and only.
I wanted to sing.
Chesney Hawkes.
Yes.
Who knows Chesney Hawkes? Did he travel over to the States? I wonder. Or it strikes me he may have been successful in Europe. Yeah, it's the Ricky hat. I'm on the decreases.
You are.
The fabric is excellent. So I totally get that. But the process of making the fabric, I won't bore you with this, is not pleasant. So I will never make this again. But the person who I'm making it for will really like it, I hope. Yeah. It will be a nice Christmas present. And I really, really hope that I'll be showing this to you in What's Off Your Needles case, confident that I will. So I'm sure you'll be right. So I think that's the end of our final favourite places to knit for 2015. Yes. Who knows where 2016 will take us? Exciting places.
Not a clue.
We will be chasing the legend of King Arthur. Right. We'll be finishing off our journey into the legend of Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we should also take a look.
That waterfall's raging at the minute.
Yeah. We should take a look at the Green Man as well. Right. I think the legend of the Green Man, because that's a real famous English legend.
Right.
Lots of exciting things coming next year. We can't wait to show you. So thanks so much.
We're going to go and look at, there's a Christmas craft fair apparently in some of the stable buildings, so we're going to go and have a look before we go home.
Cool.
Bryony's so cute. She's up there on the pretend ship.
Yeah.
And she's like pretending to be a captain. She's talking to herself. It's really cute.
So I think we should go back to us. Yep. In front of the Christmas tree in the nice warm house.
Oh, yay!
See you back there in about a minute.
Well, aren't you feeling festive now?
Yes.
I hope so. It's making me very... it's making me think about the last year. Just with it being the end of this year.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, of course it would.
You do get reflective, I think, at this time of year, don't you?
Yeah, and I think we possibly started down our reflective road on the last podcast because we were talking about, wanting to start the new year afresh and talking about the new year. This year has been very much a year of recovery for both of us.
Yeah.
Just getting over all the things that you already know. And I can assure you that, if you consider some of the things that have happened through the course of this year, some of the things that we've started to do, next year is going to be super exciting. But yeah, it is making me more reflective about the year. And I've made an attempt many times this year. How do you thank somebody for doing what you did?
Who?
You.
Me?
Do you see that? It's so funny. And what Kay successfully managed to demonstrate there is how difficult it is to thank. It probably is anybody, but particularly when it's Kay. Who? Me?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, for all that you did for me while I was ill.
Oh gosh, well, who wouldn't,
Well, there's plenty of people who wouldn't. I mean, interesting... And I'm sure this is common in the situation that we went through. I was speaking to my brother, and a friend of my brother's was going through something very similar at the same time as I was. And he got through it, and he got the all clear. And in the time following, him and his wife have got divorced.
Oh, no.
And I do think that...
that's awful.
Well, what happens is, in situations like this, everything either comes together and everything's great, or everything pulls apart.
I do understand how that can happen, but I mean that's just horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, I do love the fact though that at least they got each other through it.
Yeah.
And thank goodness that things didn't go pear-shaped while he was.
But that's just
what that sums up is how difficult it is to then thank someone for doing what you did, because, you know, in essence, I think I know it sounds dramatic, but it's like I'm thanking you for saving my life.
Oh, goodness, that's not the case. You did it.
But I couldn't have done it without you. And
Well,
I have said many times, haven't I, through this year, how much, you know, I appreciated
you
what you
don't
did.
need to thank me. Why do you think you need to thank me?
Well, I don't know, but you do. I'm sure people out there will know. People who've been through, it might not be cancer, it might be something else, but we know when your partner does something for you, your partner. I was criticising someone the other day for saying partner. What was it? You solicitors or something. And when
People have stopped saying girlfriend and boyfriend, I think.
oh, it's
haven't they?
wrong. When your
No,
wife,
they weren't
when
married,
your
so they
girlfriend,
called each other their partner. Your girlfriend and boyfriend. I don't understand when that stopped, but when they said that, I thought to myself, gosh, you don't really hear that anymore, do you?
No. So to sort of end off the year, I really felt like I needed to, because otherwise I might spend the next 10 years, you know, every month or so feeling bad and wanting to turn around to you and thank you for what you did, and it's going to get a bit tedious if I'm constantly saying the words, don't you think?
Well, I just don't. Okay, it's
Well,
not necessary. You have thanked me, honey, several billion times. I don't know.
Well, I came to the conclusion that the only way that you could fully understand how much I appreciated what you did was by getting someone who you do listen to say something.
You're going to make me cry, aren't you?
Well, I don't know, do I? So what I thought was, in this house, there's three people who, when they talk, Kay listens. And what is Delia Smith?
Right.
And well, it's true.
It is true.
What Delia says goes.
Absolutely.
What is, of course, Mary Berry.
Yes.
And then the last one is here.
Oh, hi Kay. It's Susan B. Anderson here, all the way from Madison, Wisconsin in the United States. And I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for 2016. And if you're wondering how I came to be making this message for you, I got a very sweet and kind note from Dan asking if I would tell you how much he appreciates you and all that you've done for him to bring him back to health and to carry on with your lovely life together. He just wants to tell you how much he loves you and thanks you. And I'm thrilled to be a small, tiny part of it. You're a wonderful team, and I want to thank you too for all you do for the knitting community. Thanks. Bye.
How funny is that?
You're awful.
Why? How cool is Susan?
You're so mean to me.
Why am I mean?
Doing that to me. I've not even got a tissue.
I haven't used my hanky. You can wear a hanky if you like. There you go.
Can't believe you. Susan B. Anderson. Oh, that's so sweet.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Well, I thought you'd listen if Susan said.
Well, because I don't listen to you.
Well, it's not that you don't listen. That you normally take in things that either Susan... It's like the... What do they call it? The Trinity. It's the Trinity. That's it. It's Susan, Delia and Mary. If any one of those three people talk, then Kay listens.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
How nice for Susan to do that.
That's amazing. She's such a busy woman.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
know.
believe that.
And you know, she was so cool. She's like, in it felt like in minutes. It was like it just all happened, and it was sat on my email.
Oh.
It was so amazing. So I said to Susan on email that I now owe her one officially. So
You do.
feel free to call that in any time, whatever that may be.
Totally wrecked my face now. I can't believe you made me cry. Thank you, Susan. That's so nice.
Okay. So we'll make that the end of it. I shall no longer say the word.
Not ever going to thank me ever again.
Well, no. But you know what I
I
mean.
feel like I need a stiff drink, and I don't drink anymore.
I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Good for you. That's
Well, no,
what I say.
Yeah, I hope.
No, I agree.
I don't mean that in the wrong sense. I don't mean that in that.
It's not me dwelling on stuff.
You know, it's time.
Don't you start. Stop being a fool in your repetition.
You messed it up.
I messed it
You
up.
have to keep it folded.
Oh.
It's so funny.
We should title this episode "The One Where They Cry."
We just need to move on.
Yes,
Gosh.
definitely. Definitely.
I'd be done with it.
Yes.
So thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
You successfully managed
sweet.
to.
And I'm knitting your mittens.
I know. I thought that was so cool. What's in your sweetie jar?
Oh, that's
Shall we find
yummy.
out?
Yeah, you've got them, haven't you?
Where are they? We've got no idea. If you can get, you must be able to get these in other places.
Quality
Do you
Street.
think? Can you get these?
I'm sure you must be able to get Quality Street.
But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because people were saying that you can get you can get chocolate oranges in other parts of the world. But
they looked different though.
I've only seen one person post a Terry's chocolate orange.
I've seen some that were Terry's, but they didn't look the same.
No, the one that I saw didn't look the same either.
The packaging was different,
No.
so it made me wonder if it actually tastes the same. If it's maybe
Well-
manufactured somewhere else, it might not taste the same as ours.
I think the interesting question will be is when you open them up on Terry's chocolate orange, the segments have actually got stamps on, haven't they?
Yeah.
So can anyone get a chocolate orange where the segments that you break out have actually got stamps on? Quality Street
Quality Street are something that when I was growing up, we always had a tin of Quality Street at Christmas. It was like the ultimate treat.
Yeah.
And if you've never, what's that? There's an empty packet in there.
Well, I hope the chocolate's in there.
Well, it's not even. No, it's not even fully formed, is it? Look.
Right.
Is that a toffee?
Yes.
That's so small. Is that a toffee penny?
Yes.
There used to be enormous toffee pennies, but you get a variety of chocolates in there, and you've got what
Silver
have you got?
wrappers. This is a.
Which one have you got?
It's like a nug. No, what's it called?
The green triangle you've got.
Yeah.
It's like praline inside.
Yes.
Isn't it? Praline, you would say. You get caramel swirl, toffee finger, fudge, orange cream, a milk chocolate block, toffee penny, the purple one, which is historically I think always been the most popular. It's like a big. There it is. No, that's not the purple one.
What I love about.
Here's the purple one, and it's toffee with a hazelnut in the middle. And then you've got orange chocolate crunch,
I love a
toffee
sweet.
deluxe, strawberry delight, and a coconut eclair.
I love the strawberry one. Strawberry delight's really nice.
Oh, I'm going to have a coconut eclair. I feel I need it.
What I love about these is these are wrappers that
I've
can
got a
actually
pour.
you can do something with, aren't they?
They are.
You can play with these wrappers afterwards. You know, you
Yeah,
can turn them
yeah.
into stuff. You can use them as a filter on your camera, and
Didn't there
It's
used to
just
be
great
one
fun.
that was like a keg?
yeah.
It's not there anymore.
Caramel keg.
Caramel keg.
Oh, to send them back.
A caramel keg is now a caramel swirl.
It's just not cricket.
This one used to be shaped in it was like a beer keg. Do you know what I mean? The wooden barrels. I bet you that's why they've changed the shape, because it's
They can't be.
based on alcohol or something.
And also made by Quality Street.
But they look so festive. Look.
They're super festive with the
Can
colours.
you see how festive they all look?
Also made by Quality Street are matchmakers. When I was young, these were like the height of sophistication. There'd be one of these, you'd sit down, TV on a night, and you'd share a load of matchmakers, and they're lovely. What does it say here? Here are 12 spottables, but how can you spot? If you spot one on screen, there's a game.
There's a matchmaker game.
That's cool. Brian'd love that. But what they look like is this: they're like little sticks of chocolate, like chopsticks.
And those ones are mint, aren't they? And you
Yeah.
can get orange as well.
Yeah. They've like got hard bits of mint in.
Mm,
They're really nice.
they're lovely.
Yeah. I really like
You
that.
do end
So-
up eating about 50 of them though.
Yeah, who? You or me?
Well, not me, but just in general. Once you start eating them, you're like,
So can you get Quality Street? Can you get matchmakers? And yeah, it'd be interesting to know who can get them, who can't get them. And if you haven't tried these, if you like mint chocolate, these are the business. And if you're looking for a very English,
very English.
they are. That,
Sweet, they are
for me,
very traditional.
that's
Quality
quintessential.
Street.
That is. The Queen has those.
Now, we normally, because Bryony prefers Cadbury's, I usually get Cadbury's Heroes at Christmas.
No, they're better.
But these ones actually,
They're delicious.
I've had
You
one,
must
that's
try them.
mine.
Super Christmassy
That's
to
my
sit
limit.
around the tree, eating a Quality Street.
well, it always
Yes.
used to be like Queen's Speech, didn't it?
Yes.
Queen's Speech comes on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, something like that.
Do you know what I've been wondering?
What?
What's off your needles?
Well, after last episode's failure on the What's Off Your Needles front,
Epic fail.
We have both got something. I finished Dan's socks.
Yay!
All hail the finished object. And I put them on the blockers, but look.
It's feetist.
I know all it
They
is.
should make blockers my
I'm
size.
trying to do it without blocking my face, but you all know. You all
Blocking my face
blocking my face.
with the blockers.
You all know what I look like. So there they are. They are finished. I've washed them, washed and blocked. Beautiful. Done, 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 and done.
And they're beautiful. They need wrapping up now.
They do, and but I obviously didn't want to do that before showing
No, because that would have been boring.
everybody. But you can see. Do you see what I mean about how big they are? You know, and I actually looked, because I said to Dan when I was knitting these, gosh, I wonder how many pairs of socks I've actually knit you. And I couldn't think, and you guessed 8, I think. This was the 11th pair of socks
Wow.
that I've ever knit him. And then I felt a bit ashamed, because that's not many really, is it?
I think it's enough.
But when you think of the size
It's
of
ample.
them and the amount of time it takes, so I think, you know, if I manage to knit you 2 pairs of socks a year, then that's always adding to...
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
Crumbs.
Done.
They're beautiful.
Yay.
And they are, of course, in the Fondant Fibre Vellum Hadriani.
They are, and I've got a good bit left.
So I'm going to
because
make it now a tradition
I've got
that
a good bit left, look.
whenever I walk on the walls, I'm wearing those socks.
Yeah, because I did the heels in a contrast. So I've got plenty to put into my blanket, which is brilliant.
Beautiful.
Dan Jones.
Hello.
What's off your needles?
Well, what's off my needles?
What do you think? Yay!
It is a mitten. Now, I did the... it's not really tight enough around... No, it's a Ricky hat.
Yay.
Yeah, look at it.
It's lovely.
Look at it.
And you just had a little bit of yarn left. You did super well.
And this is, of course, knit in Dreams in Fibre. Just the loveliest yarn, actually. It's been really nice to work with, and that's what I meant before when I said kept me sane, because you really have. If I hadn't enjoyed the yarn, then this would have been
It's
just
lovely.
utterly tragic. And
And we're going to put a pom-pom on it.
we
aren't
are indeed,
A
yeah.
White. I think
Oh, yeah, white will look
a
great.
white pom-pom, I think.
It'll look just
I
the
need to
business.
make that for you.
You know, the fabric is great.
It fits lovely. I tried it on last night, didn't I? Do you want me to put it on?
Yeah. The fabric's great, so, you know, I get the reason why people make them and blah, blah, blah. But knitting a pattern like this is not for me.
See, it'll be a bit more slouchy sort when it's been blocked.
Yeah.
But look how lovely. And does it not match my eyes?
It does.
And you won't let me have it.
You have 2.
I know.
I don't want another one in the
I want
house.
every hat you make though, that's the problem. I think it's lovely. And I really like, I said to you when I tried this on, because it's got less stitches, this has got 96 I think we did, didn't we? We were, like dropped it down a bit. And I like the fit of this better than the other one. The 2 I've made myself are very big on my head. So maybe, you know, if I made another one, because I don't think this looks as slouchy as those.
No.
I think it's more acceptable to you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, let's see how it blocks first.
I'm like the blue and gold woman today, aren't I?
So, 4 feet successfully achieved. As someone said on Instagram, I'm not a sore loser.
No.
I have done my...
And do you know what he did last night, right? He finished it, and then he was like getting the stuff out of his project bag, and he threw me the pattern, and he went, I won't be needing that again.
So that can go away.
So that can go.
That can go in the bin. But, you know, the pattern is perfectly well written, and, you know, the fabric of the hat is very nice. but I just personally don't enjoy knitting it, and I don't particularly like how it looks.
We will never mention that hat again.
No, that's the end of it.
That's that.
What else is off your knees?
Well, I finished another pair of socks.
I thought they were finger bits.
Look. Can you see?
They need faces
Look.
and eyes and a
I
nosy.
know. On Bryony's Christmas list this year, one of them was she wanted 2 pairs of knitted socks for Goffy. This is not the original Goffy, this is a second Goffy. But Goffy looks like this, but in a much more bedraggled state. I won't show you the horror that is the original Goffy, but this is the other Goffy. And it's a happy horse toy. Now, I searched high and low for, every now and again I do a random search on eBay for happy horse toys in search of Goffies, because they do different colours every, they change the colours, but I wanted one in this colour because this is the original Goffy. And I found this one on eBay. This year, I think it was this year sometime, it might have been around Easter. And it was £8 on eBay. Well, I jumped on that. So we've now got Goffy 2. But Goffy 1 wanted some socks, so I knit some little tube socks for Goffy. So that's the first pair, and I need to do another pair. And this is Dancing Dog Dye Works, a mini skein that she sent me in the waltz worsted. I'm not sure of the colourway. I'm not sure, but it's beautiful. So I've just got another pair of those to make, which they didn't take very long, so that shouldn't be too much of a drama.
Is that you done?
Yes.
I think it's time that we found out what's on your Christmas TV.
Oh, right.
What is on your Christmas TV? Well,
We're watching a film.
We've watched some absolute doozies. In fact, so far it's been a Christmas of doozies. It's not been good. Christmas in the Clouds? No.
Which one was that?
Isn't that the one with Andy Garcia and someone with leukemia or something?
That was terrible.
The film that shall not be spoken of?
Oh, I had to turn that off. It was too much.
We also watched one where Leah Thompson is in it from Back to the Future, and she gets her wish granted by Santa, where she suddenly becomes a successful businesswoman with no children, and of course, she's not happy.
Miserable as sin,
But that was just awful.
That was awful.
Really badly done throughout.
Yeah.
But then I noticed there was a Christmas Wish on just last night. And, well, it wasn't last night, it was through the day yesterday.
Yeah.
And so we started watching it last night, and we're 3/4 of the way through. We haven't finished watching it, but Kate and I also really enjoyed it. I would give it. We obviously discussed last time, what the rating is. If Elf and It's a Wonderful Life is a 10, then this is probably a 6.5 to a 7.
7. It's a strong 7, I would say.
Strong 7.
And it's lovely. It's set in the Depression times, the 30s. I think it's 1935 because his wife died. He's a single parent, of course. His wife died in 1934, and she passed away a year ago, so it's obviously now 1935. He's got 5 children, struggling to keep everything going.
I really enjoy seeing it set in another time period.
Yes,
that's a good idea.
It's really awesome. I'm trying to work out where in America it is.
Because it's all the houses look real. They've set it beautifully because they look old. The houses look old.
They look old, yeah. And there's lots of big mountains around
with snow
on. It's obviously a cold climate where they are.
I don't think we're helping.
Well, it can't be anywhere. It can't be anywhere on the west coast, can it? Really? When I'm looking at it, I'm thinking kind of Little House on the Prairie type areas. Minnesota, or what's the county? What's the state next to Minnesota? I forget.
Where's Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. It might be there.
Well, it's a really nice story, actually. It's a really nice story, and it's well acted, and the production is reasonably good.
Yeah.
If the production was better, it would probably push it up a bit further, because the acting is good.
And there's a cute dog, and I said, "Oh, that dog's going to be okay, isn't it?" I'm not. Of course it is. I'm not good when animals come a cropper on films.
The guy, the dad in it's called Brian Krause. That's the actor's name. So it's not a name that I know.
I don't know him.
And there's one woman in it who looks sort of familiar, but it's going to be
teacher, yeah.
And also the older lady to me looked slightly familiar. but it's definitely worth a watch.
It is.
And speaking of films that are worth a watch, we did mention A Christmas Card last time.
We said a Christmas letter. It's called A Christmas Card.
It's A Christmas Card, and it has in it John...
Or The Christmas Card.
Yeah, and it's got John Newton in it and Ed Asner and the blonde-haired... I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name.
Anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning it again is I've actually spotted that it is, and I'll put the link in the show notes, it's completely all on YouTube, and it looks, I mean, the link I saw was free. So I think you can watch it on YouTube free of charge.
Go watch it. It's a good one.
It's a really good one. As Christmas films go, it's a really good one. Just touching very briefly on things that we've been enjoying watching. It's Fargo, the second season of Fargo.
Yeah.
Enjoying it much more. We watched the first season and that was at times a bit gruesome.
It was.
This one is... There's hints of slight gruesome, but
not as much.
Nowhere near as much, because you won't hack it. We watched a bit of the Kevin Bacon thing called The Following, and we stopped watching it because it's just nasty.
It was a bit too much for me. You know, I these days I find, you know, if things are overly violent or, you know, I'm like, oh no.
The world's tough enough, isn't it? I don't particularly want to watch. So we stopped watching that. So the point of all this is, in our opinion, it's nowhere near as bad as the first season of Fargo. But the second season of Fargo, I think they've cast it tremendously well.
It's very good.
Jesse Plemons from Breaking Bad, he's the butcher. He's really good. His wife, I forget her name,
she's
but
a very famous actress.
She was in Spider-Man, the one with Tobey Maguire.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. But Ted Danson is really great.
Brilliant in
really great. You know, it's a really understated. I really enjoy understated acting.
That reminds me, we wanted to ask about the accent.
Yes. From...
It's set in... Is it Minnesota? No.
Yeah.
Is it Minnesota?
I think so.
Yeah, it might be. I'm thinking, is it Minnesota now I've said that?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. And the accent...
There's definitely...
It's
talk
set
of
in the
Kansas City.
70s, isn't it? Well, there's 2 Kansas cities, isn't there? I think. Doesn't it go over 2 states? Josh, you told me this.
Right. Well...
I think it's because I'm not sure. I can't... There's something about that.
We'd love to know if the accent is still like that there.
Because I said when we were watching it last time, I said it sounds kind of Scandinavian, this accent. And then
we should be talking to Josh here from...
Yeah. I was watching something, I
Next.
can't remember what it was, and it said that a lot of Norwegians
settled
there. And that must be where the accent comes from.
Right.
But listening to, like, Stock and Its Zombies, they're in the same state, they don't sound like that.
So it would be interesting for us to know.
Does anybody talk like that anymore with that accent?
Yeah.
I would love to know, because I'm fascinated by the accent. I find it really endearing. I love it.
The guy in the lead, though, I think is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's called Patrick Wilson. And he's got 2 brothers as well, who one of them's a news anchor that you guys might have seen or heard. I think it's in the Tampa area. Anyway, Patrick Wilson is the lead, and he plays Lou Solverson, who's like the chief of police.
Yeah.
And he's
Sheriff,
just brilliant. He's
He
really
brilliant.
good. Brilliant acting. It just looks real. It's really good.
Very
and
good.
Then I found out that he sang.
Oh
and
my gosh.
found some of the things. He's so great. Did anyone see the original Broadway production of Oklahoma? It's a little while ago now, but he played Curly in that, and I found a clip of him singing on the David Letterman show, and just exceptional. And then I also found a clip of him singing the Star Spangled Banner at a baseball game, and it was just amazing.
You've got to Google that. You've got to go on YouTube.
He's so cool. He's just a great actor and a really great singer. And then I found out he's a drummer as well.
Right.
But I found a bit of footage of him drumming, and I've got to say, I wasn't overly...
He's a better singer than a drummer.
Definitely a better singer than a drummer. He's a tremendous singer.
Really, really fabulous voice.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to go listen to it.
Yeah. Endy Bits,
Is it Endy Bits?
Crumbs.
Goodness me.
Well,
So...
it's the final Endy Bits of 2015.
It is. It's quite epic, isn't it?
That's shocking.
We love our Endy Bits. The first thing... Oh, we're having a little snuggle?
Yeah.
Somebody said because one of the pictures that you posted on Instagram, somebody said, "Oh, I love how you're always snuggling on your photos," but we just always snuggle. That's not an unusual thing. We're snugglers, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I mentioned is the sock knit along that we're going to have in January that I mentioned last time, the Cozy Toesies knit along. A couple of people actually have asked me, and it didn't cross my mind this, and I should have thought of it. But what if you knit? Because you know how I said that you can enter your works in progress as long as you're no further along than halfway. She said, well, what if you knit 2 at a time? And I'm like, oh, never thought about that because I don't knit 2 at a time. So again, as long as you know more than halfway, so as long as you're not past the heels, whether you toe up or cuff down, use your common sense. I'm not going to police it to that degree, you know. I will just trust you that you think you're approximately no further than halfway through. Just, you know, use your own judgment. So we're going to start that on the 1st of January, we said, didn't we? And run just
So we'll
for
start
the
that
month of
officially
January.
on podcast episode
Yeah.
40.
Yeah. And I
I think that's cool as well that the year is starting on a round number. I like that.
Yeah.
Episode 40.
Yes.
January the 1st.
January the 1st.
Knit
So-
or Forfeit Part 2. Didn't Nathan do well?
Didn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll start that on the 1st of January, and I will either cast on a new pair of socks. That sounds like a nice thing to do on the 1st of January,
And
doesn't
I
it?
will do the same.
Or you can carry on with yours.
Because I'm
if you
nowhere
want
near
to.
halfway through.
No, you'll
And I won't be.
You won't be halfway through by then. So
There's a challenge. I'm going to get those finished and cast on a whole new pair on January the
Right.
1st.
Do you think that's going to happen? So that was the first thing I wanted to mention.
And also, you are allowed to double dip
Oh yes.
into or out of Mina's and Fairy Little's sock knit along for January as well.
Yeah, they're doing like a sock sort of marathon thing where they're having this little competition between them to see who can knit the most socks in January. But you can join in, you don't have to compete to that level. You can just join in and knit some socks. So you can double dip in both of those and us triple dip effectively. You
Can
will
I
be
just
doing.
say though, Marsha, unfortunately you have lost.
Don't say that.
Do you think Mina will knit the most socks?
Mina's very quick. You know, she's like superhumanly quick.
She is the is it the Southern Hemisphere there? I don't know.
In Bahrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be. I didn't know, Mina, if you're watching, that Bahrain was an island. I had no idea.
Right.
It's an island.
Right. She is
There we go.
the Southern Hemisphere Sarah Hepworth.
She is.
Yes.
Now, that would be a competition.
Oh.
Mina and Sarah
Oh.
Hepworth. I'm not sure who I'd put my money on there.
Where's my mitten? I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I think Sarah, you need to go and take
Yes.
part in this.
Oh, Sarah, you do.
Sarah, you need to win it for the Northern Hemisphere for us.
Yes, come on, Sarah.
Team
You can do it.
Hepworth. Oh, do you know what? I'm now more excited about that knit along. That's going to be epic.
I know it is.
Follow that
Mina will
thread.
be like, right, day 1, 1 pair done. Day 2, another pair done.
Yeah, but Sarah will have done 2 pairs.
She might have. Yeah. Oh, it's fun. It's going to be fun watching it. I'm glad I'm not kind of participating in the your roar of. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Roar, yeah.
Yes.
I sewed something recently, and this was going to be a gift for a family member. And once I'd made them,
You don't like them. You don't have to give them.
no, it's not that I don't like the person. My issue is, I once gifted her a shawl that I
Oh,
made.
you see, you've narrowed down who it could be now.
She doesn't watch, so it's fine. I once made her a shawl, right? And it was black, and you can imagine how I enjoyed knitting a black shawl, but she likes black, so I knitted this shawl. Beautiful, beautiful shawl. It's on my project page. It was the Love Train, I believe, by Susan Ashcroft. I've never seen her wear it, and she never really thanked me for it.
Because she thinks that old ladies wear shawls.
I think that's what she thought, that I'd given her a shawl, and I thought
And
that she was an
am I
old
not
lady.
A young
But
strapping
this is
man
the
sat here
problem.
in a
This is
shawl.
the problem, I think, with gifting things to people who aren't knitters, in the sense that, you know, she can knit, but I wouldn't class her as a knitter. You all know what I mean. So I learnt my lesson from that, and after I'd finished these, I thought, you know what? I don't know if I want to risk these
They're gonna
things
go in a
shoved in a drawer and never used. So
Yeah.
I'm rebelling, and I'm keeping them.
Yeah.
And I made some placemats, and I used the Quilters You Go method, and I just love how they came out. So I made that one, and they're all backed in this print, which I believe was a Michael Miller print with these little cute snowmen. So there's that one, I love this one. Oops, dropped it. That one. That one with the cowboy on. So cute. So I just decided to keep them because I thought, you know what, they took a long time. They weren't a quick project at all. So I thought I'm going to keep these, and it can become our Christmas tradition to have these with our Christmas dinner every year.
Yes.
And I've got some new labels. Look, can you see on my label there? Whoops, Bakery Bears Cottage, it goes around the corner. I've been looking for new labels for my bags for a while. Lovely Sasha recommended an Etsy shop, but they weren't taking orders when I looked. They weren't taking any new orders. So I thought, do you know what if I stamped my own? You know, onto a cute little ribbon. So I found an Etsy shop in the UK that makes stamps, and she makes them with the Etsy logo on. You probably can't see it, but the Etsy logo is there. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to get one of those and try it. So I got the stamp, and I got some fabric ink.
That we checked to make sure it was washable.
I stamped them, I tested one. I stamped one onto some ribbon, turned it right side down, and I ironed it, so I heat set it effectively, and then I washed it in the sink. I stuck it in some wool wash for 10 minutes, just let it soak. It was fine, nothing happened, no ink leakage or anything. So I was happy that if you need to wash a bag, although I think really you would just spot clean a bag, I don't know that you'd fully immerse it, but anyway, they're safe to use on my bag, so I'm going to be using those next year.
Nice.
So that was my placemats that I made, and I love those, and I feel quite sort of attached to them, that I've made a little Christmas memory.
A cataclysmic error.
Have you?
Yes, I forgot to ask someone what's off their needles.
Do you know, I'm going to sack you. You just know.
It's just not cricket.
Right, it's just not on, is
It's
it?
Susan B. Anderson's fault.
It's your fault, Susan. I feel like a wreck now. I feel like I've just been a gibbering idiot since the...
You blew our minds. Now, this person I picked for many reasons, but
I'm not looking.
There's an even bigger reason that's just jumped out at me, and that's the fact that she's from Oklahoma. We were just talking about Oklahoma.
I want to sing.
I know. And she's a Star Wars nerd, and she has a son who wants to be a Lego engineer.
Gosh.
And
is there such a thing?
Yeah, of course there is. We watched a programme about people who wanted to be Lego engineers.
Yeah.
And the thing that made me know that this person properly is a nerd is she has a rabbit called Tribble. Now,
The Trouble with Triples. Star Trek.
Now, that's impressive.
Well, the only reason I'm impressing you is because, again, Love Sockwall Sarah,
Right.
one of her episodes was called that because she kept saying her sock projects were like tribbles.
Right.
It just made me laugh so much.
So is that the only
But
reason?
I do remember the episode.
It's a brilliant
They're
episode.
like fluffy balls
They're
of
brilliant,
fluff.
and they just appear everywhere.
Yeah,
They're
it's
so
hilarious. One of the best episodes.
cool. And it's Carol. Knit 1, brew 2. What's off your needles? Carol from Oklahoma. So I'm so sorry that I forgot to ask you in the what's off your needles section, but I didn't forget you completely. So please come and show us. And
Yay.
how excited are you about the new Star Wars? Very.
Next week.
Continue on.
My last couple of things in Endy Bits is I wanted to mention this last time. This is not knitting related at all, but it's festive. Every Christmas for the past few years, I've got the same Christmas candle, scented ones. And I've tried lots and lots of Christmas scented candles, and this is the one that, for me, just is the best Christmas scent ever. And I sort of ummed and ahed about showing it you because it's a UK based shop that it's from. So I know if you're in other countries that it's probably not going to be possible for you to get it. But I wanted to show it anyway, just because I always have it every year and I just love it so much. And it's from Marks and Spencer's. And it's their mandarin, clove and cinnamon scented candle. Oh gosh. So it's this one. This is the second one actually that I've bought. I've got another one burning up there because I burnt it down already and I still wanted to have one for Christmas. So if you are able to access the Marks and Spencer's, then I would highly recommend this candle. It is the best smell ever, and I'd have it burning all year if I could.
Yeah.
I often think I'm going to go and buy 10 of them all at once at Christmas and just have them all year. I absolutely love it. And then my very last thing is a little yarny purchase. I really haven't been buying yarn, but Deramores were having a sale. I think it was part of the Black Friday thing, but it sort of went on for quite a long time. and I wanted to order some needles. I can't remember what it was for actually, but I saw that they were having a sale, so I thought, oh, I'm going to try some sock yarn. And I'd seen this on Little Bobbins a while back. Danny had bought some of this, and I loved the colour. I thought, oh, I'll go and have a look and see if they've got that colour, and they did. So I got some for me and some for Dan. It's the Bergère de France French yarn, and again, I was kind of inspired by this because it's made in France, and I was thinking of Isabel from Fluffy Fibres. I was kind of thinking of Isabel as well. I thought, oh, it'll be nice to have some French yarn. I've never knit with French yarn. So I got this colour, which is like this speckly loveliness, and it's the Imprim Beige. Beige, I suppose it means. So I got that one for me, and then I got a colour for Dan, which is the Imprim Khaki, which is lovely manly colours, if you can see. It was really, even full price, it's a really good price. And I thought, oh, I want to try it, and it fits, you know, it feels lovely. It feels really nice. It feels like it'll be a nice sturdy sock, not scratchy at all, so I can't wait to give those a try. Looking forward to that, so I might cast one of those on the 1st of January.
Nice.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Is that you all done?
That's me all done, I believe.
So that's the end of 2015 on our main podcast. How insane. We're obviously going to be having a big, as we've said, a big New Year's celebration on January the 1st to start off the new year.
Is that a Friday then, January the 1st?
It must be. So thank you so much for watching all the way through this year. I hope you've seen, the things that we've done this year. This is when we started, really going full on with the favourite place to knit. It was this year.
Right,
it was the first visit that we did, and that place that I revisited for the Advent calendar. So it's been a year. It's been a year of recovery for us, and as that recovery has hit, we've done more and more cool things. Knit or forfeit, and the upping in the quality thanks to our patrons, of the image that you see and the sound and everything. But next year, now that we're feeling so much better, next year is when things really go crazy. I can't wait. It's going to be such an exciting year with all of you, I hope. So thank you so much for watching, because without you,
we'd be nothing. We wouldn't, would we?
We'd be nothing.
We wouldn't be here.
If you didn't watch, we wouldn't be here. And special thanks to the patrons. We'll give you your special thanks on the episode next week. But special thanks so much to the patrons. And if you would like to become a patron, please do. Tutorials and behind the scenes and this new podcast that we're talking about. So many cool things coming next year. And the Advent calendar, obviously, of course, at the moment.
It's been very epic.
It really has.
It's been an epic year, I would say.
Yes. Yeah. Next year, I would like it to be
less epic.
Yeah, but not in the excitement stakes.
No,
we can keep things exciting here, but personally, less epic would be pleasant.
Gaily Whaley recently said on a post this morning I think I saw it, or was it yesterday, Gail? I can't remember. Somebody had tagged her in for what she was doing now, and she said, apologies I didn't reply. It's been happily boring for me, and I was like, do you know what?
I like boring.
I said to her, I said, Gail, I absolutely love that.
Boring.
I am very happy with happily boring.
Is good. Yeah. When things are happily boring, that always means that when we come and see you, things are happily exciting.
Yes.
When we have a boring base, our ability to be creative is grown. Definitely.
Yes.
Yes. So next year, here's for a boring year.
Here's for a boring year.
Where not very much happens at all.
I'm sure plenty will happen, but...
Yeah. So we will see you...
Have a fabulous Christmas, everybody.
Yes. On January the 1st...
Are you having turkey? Please tell us. What are you eating for your Christmas dinner?
We're having a lovely organic chicken.
Are we still on that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. We maybe better go to Mainsgill and just make sure we don't need to order it.
A chicken? I doubt it.
Well, there's no problem with having a ride out there anyway, is there?
No.
Just having a look around. So we will see all of you on January the 1st.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you are a patron.
Well,
we will see you next week. But of course, we're seeing you every day at the moment anyway.
No.
But
gosh, are you tired of us? Are you tired of seeing us?
It's only 2 minutes.
Oh, it's a bit much, isn't it?
Well, apart from yesterday's, where I stole the reins of...
6 minutes yesterday. I was watching it last night and I said, this is 6 minutes.
They needed to see the full... They had to
Good
know
grief.
what to do. And I inspired Laurie to potentially make her own tomato sauce. So
Right.
I'm happy.
It's very good, Laurie.
Well,
Very good.
it's the recipe, and I put the recipe in the link on the advent calendar. So we will see patrons next week for the special patron episode. So thank you so much for watching this episode. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And we'll see you really soon.
Go and watch the Muppets.
Yes.
Bye.